Here is another question that I received a little while ago, and the individual's wondering what goes on first, the riser or the tread. And so I figured I'd make a video and kind of give my opinion on it and the reasons for it. And of course, this is the most common way. The risers go on first and then the treads. And of course, this is the method that I would use, and I really can't think of any other reason why I wouldn't use this particular method. But let me see if I can explain some of the reasons why. And one of them would be that the tread can actually move up and down. And to prevent that, people will install some screws, nails, or staples from the back of the riser and then nail it into the tread. So this right here will prevent the tread from moving, but also larger pieces of lumber used for the treads will do the trick also. So if you were going to use 5/8 plywood, for example, which I have used before, and maybe have a span between the stringers of about 20 inches, which I have done before, this will move. And if it moves like this, just kind of drew something in there. So we got a little movement there. It's moving in the back. It's not going to move in the front because it's sitting on top of the riser. And of course, this wouldn't be the case if you had the riser come up and the tread in back, which we'll see in a few seconds here, a few minutes. And so this right here is the reason why you might not, or another reason why you might not want the tread to be installed up against the riser here. And of course that is because if it is moving up and down, it's going to be squeaking. So the way to fix that, of course, is to staple the back or to nail it. Now when I say staple, this I'm referring to a staple gun, something maybe with a 1-inch crown. I mean a 1/4 inch crown on it. A 1-inch crown would be fine also if you were going to staple this, I would imagine. But I like the smaller staples. But I'm not talking about hand staples here, something that's going to come out of a hand stapler. I'm talking about something that's going to come out of a pneumatic gun. And the reason for that is if you use nails or screws, they might be too large, and they will actually split the plywood or the OSB and make this problem even worse. Now let's take a look at what some of the problems might be if you install the treads first and then the risers. Now, as long as it's sitting on top, this isn't going to be a problem with the front. In the back right here, if you build it like this, you have eliminated the squeak. If this moves, it's just going to move. It's not going to be rubbing up against the back or the face of the riser here. Hope that makes sense. And of course, you wouldn't need to nail or screw in or staple in to the back of it, because if this moves up and down, it's just going to be moving. It's not going to be making much noise. However, this goes back to what would you rather have? A riser that comes down and then having the tread butted, as we seen in the previous example, or something like this where the tread can actually move. So it eliminates the squeak, but kind of creates a weaker stairway. And another problem with this, and you're not going to see it here when everything's perfectly straight, but if you were to install the risers after, I've noticed that it's difficult sometimes to install the risers because you might have maybe a little crown or something in the step. So if this step right here was sagging down, you're not going to have a problem. But if it's crowned up and you have a nice straight riser, you might have a problem getting it in. You might have to cut some of these individually to get them to fit in there. So again, hope that makes sense. This would not be my method of choice. Now here's another method I have seen used before, and that would be if the riser came up. So you would install the tread first and then the riser like this. And when you do this and you don't have the tread sitting on top of the riser, then this part right here can actually flex. So I understand you can put some screws or staple it or put some nails in this to prevent that from happening. But this would be totally unnecessary. As long as the tread overlaps the riser, then you are going to be better off. I cannot see any reason why you would want to use this instead of this, having the tread sit on top, and you don't have to worry about that. So this is actually the biggest problem that I have with this, and that is if the riser sticks up just a little bit, it's actually creating a trip hazard, and I have seen this plenty of times. So this right here, I would just say is a no-no, and don't even bother using it. Now, in our last example, I just kind of want to throw out there, I've been seeing this a lot. Stair builders are using 1.125" plywood and 2x8s ripped down for their risers. I think it's a bit overkill, but if you're looking for a way to build a really strong stairway, then you might want to go with thicker building materials for the risers and the treads, and maybe even think about installing another stringer.